All right, a very good morning to you again, and thanks for joining us this morning, TVXYZ. Time for us to bring you what we call Afisem. And for this morning's conversation, because my guest is not very fluent with the free language, I think it will be proper. I start this way. And so, nebe poto kakra Afisem. But then critically, we are still delving into the issues of the economy because share your economy. I'm sure with the conversation Kwame Menka has had already regarding Tonton Sansan Utieni year. Ube say Nyama entese senye etieni bio. And so clearly, things have not been the same over a number of times now. And we'll try to break the figures down for you so that you can have a proper appreciation of the key issues. My guest this morning is a member of parliament, or if you want to call it, the parliamentary candidate for the NDC in the Sagnarugu constituency. He has unseated the incumbent member of parliament, ABA Hussein. I'm talking about Ataisa. He's my guest this morning. Ata, good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for making time.
Thank you too.
How is Sagnarugu?
Before I start, let me say good morning to the good people of Sagnarugu, leadership of the party at all levels. Don't say I am seated. So I'm the one that will be taking over. I think I prefer that word than
taking
seated.
Over.
Yes.
Okay.
So Sagnarugu is good. We are restructuring and reorganizing ourselves, preparing for the 2024 elections. So, just like any other constituency, Sagnarugu constituency, we are through with all levels of elections across the structure of the party. And as we speak, we're in the process of engaging the community by community and to tell them the alternative views and alternative policies that we intend to roll out, given the current set of leaders that we have as a government. So, Sagnarugu is good. Let me say that.
All right. So we'll come to the issues of the economy. I'm sure you have been very particular about the man, Ken Ofori-Atta. But the person in question, Ken Ofori-Atta, has been making some revelations. Now, during the presentation of the mid-year budget review, he made some statement that, look, the economy is on the path of recovery.
As I've indicated, we have made significant progress on restoring macroeconomic stability, and the narrative is changing. The economy is showing signs of recovery, the exchange rate has stabilized, inflation has softened, and interest rates have declined since December 2022. Mr. Speaker, these outturns are the results of focused implementation of all the measures represented in the 2023 budget and the positive sentiments arising from the progress of the IMF program, which I will now discuss. Mr. Speaker, towards addressing the macro-fiscal challenges the economy faced in 2022, government engaged the IMF to support the implementation of our PCPEC program.
All right, so that's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who believes that, look, the economy is doing well. But people think otherwise, especially Dr. Kesel Atofo-Singh, who believes that, look, the issues happening at the Bank of Ghana need very, very critical attention. For him, it would be proper that civil society organizations, other persons support the NDC's call to get the governors of the central bank out. In what he says, they are going to petition or beseech the central bank.
The annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana was released. This report depicted the catastrophic decline of the Central Bank of Ghana into a bottomless pit. The report revealed the following astonishing facts. 1. The Bank of Ghana recorded a staggering loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of $6 billion US. This is twice the amount we are to receive from the recent IMF bailout. 60 billion Ghana cedis. representing $6 billion US, meaning this is twice the amount we'll be asking the IMF to give to us. This simply means that the reckless and mismanagement of the governor of the Bank of Ghana has costed the nation twice what we are struggling and sacrificing to receive from the International Monetary Fund amid its major conditionalities. Colleagues, the Bank of Ghana has also recorded a negative equity of over 55.1 billion Ghana cedis. This simply means that the Bank of Ghana is currently bankrupt, or in other words, insolvent. In other words, the once prestigious Bank of Ghana, the mother of all banks in Ghana, have been bankrupted and collapsed by the NPP economic management team led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with the complicity of the governor of the central bank and his deputies.
So that's Ketel Atefosing, minority leader. He believes that, look, the central bank boss, Dr. Ernest Addison, and all his 3 deputies have done worse to the economy. Now, the man I'll be speaking to, Ataisa himself, has been talking about the finance minister who will go shortly. He's here with me, like I said, but really, what has he been saying?
Loan default as a percentage of the deposits. We also look at the bank assets and its liquidity, and then banking sector regulations. In all these 3, is worse than they came to meet. Look, currently, bank default rate is hovering around 46%. What it means is that when commercial banks give out loans to individuals, businesses, and small-scale firms, 46% of those loans, it doesn't come back to the banks. That brought rise to big tech companies and QR payments, because people rather now feel safe. Companies rather now feel safe that if they give through digital platforms, they earn it more than even they bring it to through commercial banks.
Ataisa is the member of parliament, or should I say parliamentary candidate of the NDC for the Sagnarigo constituency in the northern, is it northern or northeast, which of the regions?
Northern region.
Northern
parliamentary
region.
Candidate for
northern region.
Yes.
Okay, super. Now, that's exactly what you've been talking about. The man, Ken Ofori-Atta, he's done a very sweet job, people will say, but you still don't seem to believe, especially Ken Ofori-Atta, until just this budget review presentation, never admitted that the country was in crisis or the economy was in crisis. It's been COVID, it's been Russia-Ukraine war, but now he admits we're in crisis. Is that not enough for you to stop lambasting him?
So once again, let me say good morning to the good people of Sagnarigo. Look, the last interview I had with your station, I think it came at the right time, because it was before the mid-year budget review. And most of the issues that I had brought out came to pass. And for me, it only heightened the belief that this current finance minister will go down as the worst finance minister we've ever had in the Fourth Republic. Look, the last time I said that every government plan is to maximize the welfare of its citizens. That is the objective of every government. And there are two critical areas that we look at it in order to maximize the welfare of the people. That is the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. The finance minister and the government, they are in charge of the fiscal policy. If you listen to the mid-year review, you realize that the theme or the highlight of the entire presentation was we've turned the corner. Or is that not what they said? Yeah. Turning the corner means that they've turned it from a position that was not desirable to a position that is desirable, isn't it?
I mean, it's the case.
That is the logic.
Yes, and it's real.
So let's look at
because okay. even if you look at the downgrades, now there's some level of upgrade. So from CCC, we are now coming to C plus and all of those.
All because of the IMF deal. I told you that naturally, when you sign an IMF program, it gives you credibility. In fact, people even sign up to the program for credibility.
Okay.
So that is not an enough basis for you to say that the economy is bouncing back. Look, can you believe that as we speak, the reserves of this country can only cover 0.8 import cover? What it simply means is that even 1 month of our imports, the current reserve of our country cannot guarantee that. Not even up to a month. So where's the turning back? So like I was saying, let's look at the fiscals. You projected growth at the end of the year to be around 4.6%. First quarter, you grew at 4.2%. And in your revised budget towards the end of December, you are saying that you will now grow at 1.5%.
Yeah, that's what it says. And even the IMF, report indicated that the economy in 2023 was growing at 1.5%. In 2024, it will be depressed at 2.8%. And then by 2025, it will start to, revamp.
So the point is that you said you will grow at 4.6%. You are ending the year with a projected figure of 1.5%, which is not even sure. So how can a growth of 4.6% projected, ending at 1.5%, be turning the corner? In fact, a whole government was booted out of office with a growth rate of 3.4% end of year. The government was described as incompetent, insensitive, and reckless. But a government that has a record of doing 0.4% in 2020 and then currently projected to grow at 1.5% is saying that they've turned the economy. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
so
you.
The point is that always don't look at the means or the talking or the policy. Look at the output. Now, number two, apart from the growth issue, the second thing the finance minister should be worried about is that if you look at the response from Bank of Ghana yesterday on their abysmal performance, they attributed almost 32 billion Ghana cedis to the debt restructuring program. And let me ask you, what is the cost of this debt restructuring program? When you borrow into an unsustainable level and you can no longer pay your debt, and your debt to GDP ratio is over around 104%, an indication of the fact that you have admitted that you can no longer pay your debt. Somebody had to come in to print. In fact, the Bank of Ghana alone has printed close to 70 billion Ghana cedis to finance this government. And yet, they are saying that they've turned the economy. In 2016, when we were leaving office, or in an election year, President Mahama did zero central bank financing. What it meant is that government did not print money. Government did not take any money from the central bank. Government financed everything by itself.
Was it an indication that you had better managers of the economy?
Of course. If for example, you run on budget, simply means that you have expected revenue and then your proposed expenditure. Once you achieve lower deficit, what it simply tells you is that you are managing the economy efficiently. But once you have higher deficit, it means that your plan or projected revenue, you didn't forecast it well, or you balloon your expenditure. So if government is not going to central bank for more financing, it means that government is doing its work according to budget. One of the critical, if you look at the PF reports, one of the critical areas people study or know and measure the performance of an economy is budgeted and then actual expenditure indicators. Finance minister, like I said, growth rate of 4.6, ended up at 1.5.
Which is even projected.
Do you get my point? So the issue is that you cannot even forecast properly. When Honorable Adongo raised the alarm of printing of money from the central bank, did you hear the response from central bank that time?
They denied it.
They said they did not print any money. They were rather doing bank overdrafts. Today, it is clear that the Bank of Ghana in 2021 printed 35 billion Ghana cedis, and in 2022 they printed 45 billion. Who knows how much they've printed this year? Go recording a whooping 60 billion Ghana cedis. So 60 billion Ghana cedis.
That's lots of money.
In fact, do you know that the entire money that we are requesting from the IMF is $3 million. The entire.
Yes.
And it is not going to be given to us in a year.
Because we had just about $600
plus million,
yes,
isn't it?
For the first tranche.
These people at the Bank of Ghana alone has cost this country 60 billion loss. This 60 billion loss is twice the money we are requesting from the IMF. So that is why people always believe that Africans' problems are not the West, but ourselves. If you can post 60 billion loss and yet you are running for
but this is
$3 million
cedis, and that is in dollars.
60 billion Ghana cedis is equivalent
to $3 billion. $3 billion.
No, do it again. It's almost $6 billion. Let's assume a rate at 10 point something or 11.
Because now we are doing somewhere close to 12 cedis.
So it's almost 50 something, 50 something, 5 point something billion. Yeah. Yet you are running for a $3 billion facility. So I don't get these people. And yet, instead of them to be apologizing to Ghanaians, they are rather saying we should throw up in our hands in the air and celebrate them. Do you get the point? So the last time I told you people that the problem with this government is that the arrogance of power, dishonesty is their trademark.
Is it not we as a people who have created it? Because when the issues started emerging, we kept quiet. We didn't raise them, and then we allow the issues to deteriorate, and then we come back lamenting.
No, I wouldn't agree with you entirely. Ghanaians have been patient enough for mostly every government. And you know why? We are trying to consolidate our democracy. Because I remember right from 2017, we started raising alarms about the recklessness of the finance minister and the government. We started raising the alarm. From 2017 till date, we are still doing it. The best we can do is advocacy.
Okay.
But the NPP government knows that the only way we can change them is through the ballot.
Okay.
Because as a party, we ushered this country into the multi-party democracy in '92. And we will be the last people to use other means rather than legitimate means to question the performance of the government. Having said this, Ghanaians are beginning to realize that they were hoodwinked into believing in unnecessary and utopian promises. Look, in a crisis, you mentioned some of them. They say we are in Russia-Ukraine war, COVID. I don't know when that excuses will stop. But
no, I mean, now he's admitted that we are in crisis, so clearly tells us that...
But he still attributes some of them to Russia and Ukraine. He still attributed some to COVID. He still attributed some to borrowings from President Mahama. You know, look, in 2017, they started singing that chorus up till 2023 mid-year review. So these people, they have a set of mindset, and they will continue singing it, and nobody can change them until we boot them out in 2024. Look, in a crisis, what expectation do you have of managers of any facility or an economy in a crisis? Is to be moderate, is to be honest. Is that not it? How can a government or the Bank of Ghana in a crisis be constructing an office edifice at $250 million? How can the central bank spend a whooping 97 million Ghana cedis on foreign travels? In fact, in all cities, it will be what? 970 billion or so.
Yeah.
And you know, in my language, there's a saying in my language that the fish starts spoiling from its head.
Okay.
Is that not it?
So it's no wonder you're from ABA for this constituency.
So when Honorable Ablakwa started raising this issue of President Akufo-Addo desire or penchant of flying in luxurious private jets, we were complaining that he was doing too much. Nobody can control the Bank of Ghana because the president himself is engaged in such recklessness and luxury lifestyle. 97 million Ghana cedis on foreign travels. They spend a hoop directors' remuneration alone, salary increments for directors, not the entire staff, 6.8 million Ghana cedis. Spending about 32 million Ghana cedis on computers and about 131 million Ghana cedis on car repairs. My brother, what type of country are we running? You say you are in crisis, but you can spend such huge sums of money on this. These are not, let me say, these are not compulsory or things that you should do by force. These are things that are discretionary. They are not supposed to be mandatory on you. Communication, in fact, their response, it was funny to me when I was reading the responses from Bank of Ghana.
So this is the accumulations of the debt from the central bank as we are talking about.
Exactly. Foreign travels and domestic travel amounted to 774 billion. Motor vehicle maintenance and running. In fact, my brother, motor vehicle maintenance and running it. 1.316 trillion OCDs or 131 million Ghana cedis. In fact, nothing shocked me like the communication expenses. 32 million Ghana cedis in a year.
They've been doing monetary policy meetings with the media. They've been engagement with civil society organizations, and all of these things form part of the communication.
As a party, we run communications. We have a whole setup for communication. We know how much this thing costs. 32 million Ghana cedis in a year.
Outrageous. Now, you spoke about one of the factors that must be considered in crisis management, which is moderacy, that every boss or every person in the helm of affairs. Now, in March 2022, the Finance Ministry came out with an outlined measures to ease the economic pressures. Now, one of them was the moratorium on foreign travels. That was there, and also there was the issue about 20% imposition on savings from government, salaries, government staff salaries. There was also the issue about the use of land cruisers for only outside travels and not necessarily within the confines of Accra. All of these things, like I said earlier, we do not hold them to account, because if you come out with all of these policy measures, there were 17 of them that the Finance Ministry came to outline to Ghanaians, to empathize with them because we are in crisis, and we kept quiet.
So I wouldn't say, like I said earlier, I wouldn't say we kept quiet. We kept sounding the alarm. But I'm so happy now that the Ghanaian people themselves have seen that the future of this country is threatened when we continue to be in the government of an MPP. Look, when he announced all the policy measures, I was sitting with a friend, and I told them that, mark it, none of these things will be done. In the mid-year review, did you hear anything about savings from those things? Because if you sacrifice 20% of your salary, you said people should not travel and all those things, you must expect savings. What was the savings? And you are a journalist. Don't you see ministers and all those people traveling outside with land cruisers? Don't you see them? In fact, look at their presidential primaries that they are going to do. Sometimes you ask yourself whether it is the president himself that is going. Other candidates, even aside Dr. Baumia, look at the convoys that they run.
It means that there's money and they don't care the hoots.
People are buying proxy votes for 50,000 Ghana cedis in these primaries they are going. So when I hear people say, we don't have money, I just simply don't understand. Unless you are living in a different country, we see the luxury, we see the opulence, we see the arrogance, we see overnight bloated behaviors of appointees. We see them every time. These are presidential and parliamentary primaries. Cash is flowing everywhere. So if they now tell you that Bank of Ghana posted a loss of 60 billion, don't be surprised.
You shouldn't be surprised.
You shouldn't be surprised.
That there are worse things to come. Dr. Kesela Tuforsing has made mention that there could be a levy imposed on Ghanaians, that it will be Bank of Ghana, recovery levy and those things. We should expect
you
those
doubt
things
him?
to come.
when we...
I mean, he started with a haircut.
Exactly.
And
haircut. And President Akufo-Addo on live TV said that there was no haircut.
You know, John Mahama has been speaking about that issue, about the difference in figures that the finance ministry will present a certain portions of figures to government and then another to the IMF just to look good and then in the books.
You see, if you look at the reporting standards of the IMF, mostly they are interested, they use the reporting that you give them for two things. One is to assess the health of your economy, and two is to assess whether they should give you aid or not.
Okay.
That is to demand accountability. So any government worth its salt dealing with the IMF knows very well that you are penalized for misreporting, because there is a tendency for countries to misreport on the health of their country. But in a country that is so partisan, and they know that the reports that they present to us only goes to Parliament, they have majority of MPs on their side. All they do is What do you think they will do? How can you say that SOE debt, MMD's debt, they are not your debt, and you do below the line and above the line? Debt that they think that if they add it, it will balloon our debt stock, they remove it. Or they place it under and say that this one is below the line, this one is above the line. And they will be reporting fictitious debt to GDP ratio of about 70-something%. When they went to the IMF told them to consolidate all our debts. How can you say that independent power producers, that you are enjoying, the country, ministries and government, including Flagstaff, you are all running on the power produced by these IPPs. You say that their debt is not part of your debt. So with IMF, the reporting standard is strict, and it requires countries to be serious with it because there are consequences. And also, it can sell a bad message to you in the international market. Imagine if IMF penalizes you for misreporting. It means that all
the other rating agencies,
will downgrade you, and also investors that has invested in your country based on the data you provided will withdraw.
Okay.
So that is why there's that difference. So for us, they have been honest to us, but because they know there is a cane in hand of somebody, they will report better to them.
We'll take your final comment briefly, but let me read some of your messages. Now, this one is from Hafiz Abdul Mumin on Facebook. Says, my day is great listening to our own financial analyst, Honorable Atta Issa. Eweku Hannah says, Kwame Mame, the past money is 48 million cedis and 5 million according to Kelvin Taylor. Awuni Martin Ami Bayam says, great submission from the Sagnerigu's parliamentary candidate. Alhaji Slincy says, Awuni Martin Ayambia Sagnerigu is blessed with such a young and talented candidate. Honorable Atta Issa, we are proud of you. May Allah rescue us from this looters. And this one says that, the whole MPP government administration are thieves and Achim terminators, aka Nana Pampem is the head. And I hope, this was a Mujib Santana. I hope the finance minister will learn a lot from this very insightful recommendations and advice from Honorable Issa. Indeed, Sagnerigu constituency is proud of the choice of this very proactive leader to champion their affairs. And this one says, my name is Awal Mohammed from Ashaiman, an ardent follower of activities of Honorable Atta Issa in the constituency. He's not an MP yet, but his benevolent works and rapport with the constituents will surely grant him the victory come December 2024 to build the Sagnerigu we all want. God bless you abundantly, Honorable Issa. That's from Awal. From Ashama. So very finally, all of these things encapsulated, how do we on the ground, feel the heat as we
before I wrap up, let me touch on this debt exchange program. It's sad because I have pensioners.
Because there's a second one coming.
Yes, I have pensioners in my house. I have people who have invested in treasury bills and all those things. And that is what I advise every citizen to take interest in politics. Because people always believe that, oh, both parties are the same. But under NDC, we never had something we call the debt exchange program. We never had anything called haircuts. So citizens should take up responsibility in participating in political activities, in participating in good governance, so that we both suffer or we both enjoy. So for me, it is a clarion call on all citizens to rally behind President John Dramani Mahama to boot out the next MPP flag bearer. Because these people, they are living in their own world.
Okay.
They are not with us. Yesterday, inflation rose up by 0.6% again. That is what we, the ordinary Ghanaians, face every day. People can no longer afford 3 square meals. Recently, the World Bank brought a data that suggested that 850 people have been pushed into poverty. That is the fate of the ordinary Ghanaian. The fate of the ordinary Ghanaian is somebody who cannot afford transport, who cannot pay electricity, who cannot pay for water. That is our fate. Who cannot, in fact, in my constituency, day in, day out, school fees and all those things are a bother to all of us. Okay. So for me, my final comment is that the speech, the review was just empty and the usual rhetorics that we all know. And Ghanaians should not expect anything better from the MPP in the next 1.5 years.
Thank you very much. Ataisa is the Member of Parliament, parliamentary candidate for Sagnerigu. Sagnerigu constituency in the Northern region. Thank you very much for making time, and I will wish you all the best. So as we leave the state for Kwame Minka, Oman Atanase on TVXYZ and Power FM. But let me say happy birthday to you, Kechre Hadassa, BBT. That's from Davis, our own Davis from MCR, says happy birthday to you. May you grow and glow in God's wisdom and have the best of the day. And to you, Gifty Obing, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, we wish you all the very best. Ensure that you take your medication as we wish you speedy recovery. My name is Wisdom Hedezome. We're out. Good morning.